Seems like the Red Sox have emerged as favorites for this slugging righty. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. I know what the immediate reaction to this video is going to be. It's going to be, oh boy, here we go again. The Red Sox are interested in someone. Maybe they're aggressively interested in someone. It's going to come down to someone and the Red Sox, and he's going to go to that other team because the Red Sox weren't willing to go that extra mile. And I wish I could give you guys something more concrete, but this is all we have to go off of right now, and I apologize for that. However, what I will say about these rumors is that this is the first time I believe the Red Sox have been mentioned as a legitimate front runner for really anybody, right? The closest I've seen are phrases like the Red Sox are interested, the Red Sox are being aggressive, but this is the first time someone's been mentioned as a front runner with the Boston Red Sox, and that person is Jorge Soler. So what we are going to do in today's video is we're going to break down the latest on the Red Sox pursuit of Jorge Soler. We're going to talk about why the Red Sox may be interested in him, and we're going to talk about how this could affect the 2024 season. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so as always, let's talk about the report themselves and talk about what this could mean in terms of the Red Sox pursuit. The latest we've heard on the Red Sox pursuit of Jorge Soler was from last night when Hector Gomez, a Dominican Republic baseball reporter, tweeted out that, quote, the Red Sox have been in very aggressive talks with outfielder/DH Jorge Soler. They emerge now as the front runner to sign him. Hector Gomez is a pretty reliable reporter, especially when it comes to Latin American baseball players. He was one of the early reporters on the Teoscar Hernandez signing last night with the Dodgers. He's been pretty front running in terms of a lot of the news coming out of this year's offseason. This is a guy who I have trust in terms of his reporting. And again, the words front runners to me is really significant in this tweet. And the reason we're making this video, I did some digging and there really hasn't been any mention of the Red Sox being true front runners for really anybody. Even when the Red Sox were pursuing Teoscar Hernandez, it was always the Red Sox are being aggressive. However, there are these other teams involved. And while Hector Gomez did mention some other teams when talking about Jorge Soler, using the word frontrunners is something new. So why are the Red Sox really aggressively pursuing someone like Soler? Well, immediately, he helps the Red Sox pretty big in the right-handed department. The Red Sox have a pretty massive right-handed hole in their lineup, and while starting pitching is clearly their biggest need, to be able to balance out their lineup is also something that's really important. Jorge Soler, based on last season, should be able to do that. Last season from the right side, Jorge Soler had a .250 average, but a much higher .341 on base percentage and a really impressive .512 slug, good for a .128 OPS plus, or he was about 28% more productive in the batter's box than the average hitter in the game. His all-star season also included a really impressive 36 home runs and 24 doubles. He was a man on a mission last year, and one thing I really liked about Soler in 2023 was not only the fact that he provided a ton of power from the right-hand side, middle of the order type power, but he was also on base quite a bit. He didn't really chase a ton of pitches outside of the zone in the 72nd percentile in baseball, and he had a walk rate of 11.4, which was in the 83rd percentile in the game. So while Jorge Soler did strike out quite a bit in 2023, he was also extremely well versed at getting on base, and to me, that's really important, especially because the Red Sox lost Alex Verdugo and Justin Turner this offseason, both guys who got on base quite a bit, specifically Justin Turner, who was getting on base from the right-hand side. Jorge Soler not only provides power, but he also provides a supplement to some of the loss you're going to get in terms of on-base percentage if you're not interested in re-signing Justin Turner. Another thing that I really loved about Jorge Soler's 2023 season, and something that makes him a bit more intriguing in my opinion, is when you take a look at what Jorge Soler did in 2023, all of his hits, all of his batted outs, and lay them over Fenway Park, that really impressive 2023 season gets even more impressive. Notice all of the gray outs that would have have been at a bare minimum in Fenway, hits if not home runs. If he had played 81 games at Fenway Park, he would have had a much better season in 2023, which is really impressive considering how successful that season was. Jorge Soler flat out looks like the exact type of right-handed hitter you want at Fenway. He's a pull power type guy. This is a player who statistically should absolutely pepper the monster. So when we're looking at why the Red Sox may be aggressively targeting someone like Jorge Soler, the answer is pretty obvious. He's a right-handed power bat that has a profile that would absolutely slug at Fenway Park. He's a guy who would bring balance to the middle of this order that you don't really have right now. We've talked about it a couple of times. Trevor Story could be that type of hitter, but based on the last couple of seasons, it would be risky to rely on him to be that hitter for an entire season. You're losing Justin Turner, you're losing Adam Duvall. It doesn't look like you're bringing any of those guys back, and you need someone in that DH position who's going to be able to not only balance this lineup out, but also give you some much needed power addition to this lineup, and Jorge Soler does all of those things, at least based on his 2023 season. Now, he doesn't give you a ton in terms of versatility. Last season, he was mainly a DH for the Miami Marlins with just a handful of games in the outfield where he was pretty terrible in left field. He has had some successful defensive seasons over the past, but it looks like going forward, Jorge Soler is more fitted to be a DH than he is to be an outfielder. What this means is it kind of goes against a little bit what Craig Breslow was talking about when they first started talking about their additions to the lineup. They were looking for someone with a bit of versatility who'd be able to not only be a DH, but play other positions as well. When we talked about Teoscar Hernandez, Teoscar was more of a platoon type DH than he was a true DH. He probably would have played at least 50% of his games in left field and allowed the Red Sox to move around Massa, Williard, Jaron, all their other outfielders, whereas Jorge Soler probably can only play about 20 to 30% of his games on the field, and it would mainly have to be left field because his defense isn't exactly fantastic, and that's somewhere where you can hide below average defense at Fenway Park, especially if he can get to know the monster pretty well. What this means is that Masataka Yoshida goes from being a almost everyday DH to being an almost everyday left fielder. What this means for the Red Sox is that their defense in left field isn't going to get much better, right? When we were talking about Teoscar, we talked about how he had a very good defensive season and could be a pretty solid fit in the outfield. Jorge Soler didn't have a good defensive season, has had good defensive seasons in the past, and would be mostly a DH. So there's a bit of a difference here between Jorge Soler and the versatility he brings and the versatility that Teoscar Hernandez brings. Now, there are some concerns, in my opinion, around signing Jorge Soler. The first one is the one we just talked about with his versatility, right? Him not being super versatile and being mostly a DH, which could be fine considering the Red Sox did that last year with Justin Turner and ended up being really successful, or it could be a slight problem, especially if the Red Sox want to try and interchange him with some of these outfielders. The other concern that I believe could be something to pay attention to with Jorge Soler is his consistency. Over his career, he's had a lot of ups and downs. Take a look at his statistics season to season as he's been in the league. There's a couple of things you may notice. Last year, we talked about it, was absolutely fantastic. 2022, however, was really average. He didn't hit a lot of home runs. He wasn't getting on base a ton and ended up with an OPS plus that was actually below the average hitter in the game. 2021, he did poorly in Kansas City, but really well in Atlanta. Then he has a stretch from 2020 to 2018 where he was really solid consistently, but then he goes right back to up and down again. Right now, the Red Sox can't really afford inconsistencies in their lineup. They really need someone who's going to be a consistent, everyday, legitimate impact player, and while Jorge Soler has the ability to do that, my fear is that as Jorge Soler enters his age 32 season, we could start to see some regression and maybe more up and down as he gets older. However, again, that production has been, when it's good, it's really, really good. My final concern has absolutely nothing to do with Jorge Soler at all and has everything to do with the Red Sox as an organization. Yesterday, not only did we get this rumor about Jorge Soler, but we also got the offer that the Red Sox ended up giving Teoscar Hernandez that led him to sign with the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Red Sox refused to go higher than 2 years, $14 million a year, or a 2-year, $28 million deal, and it ultimately led to Teoscar Hernandez, who was very interested in coming to the Red Sox, Sox into the arms of the Los Angeles Dodgers. This has sort of been the theme of the offseason, right? The Red Sox have their budget, they're sticking to it, and to me, this is the biggest concern I have. Are the Red Sox willing to go the extra mile in order to win? And to be honest with you, right now, I'm not exactly confident that they're willing to do that. Right now, Jorge Soler is projected to go 3 years, $45 million, or about $15 million AAV. If the Red Sox weren't willing to spend more than $14 million on Teoscar Hernandez, what makes anyone think they're willing to go to $15 million a year for Jorge Soler? And on top of that, what makes anyone think that they're going to be willing to go to $16, $17 million a year to actually get a deal done and outbid some of the other teams that are interested in them? Now, things could change and the Red Sox could get desperate. The Red Sox could really want Soler over anyone else, and they could end up going the extra mile. But as of right now, there is nothing that has happened over this offseason that has come out both talking about the Red Sox budget and the Red Sox bidding on in terms of free agents on the open market that leads me to believe that the Red Sox would be willing to do this. And to me, this is the biggest wrench in terms of Red Sox interest we've seen over this offseason. It's been an unwillingness to spend the money necessary to get these players to this team. And this is the biggest problem surrounding Jorge Soler right now. But overall, when we're talking about this sort of interest, this sort of rumor reporting that we've really only been talking about this entire offseason because the Red Sox have made a singular signing, what really stands out to me is the fact that they have been officially named frontrunners in the Jorge Soler sweepstakes. This is the first time this has happened this offseason, and this could indicate that the Red Sox are legitimately serious about bringing him here. If they do that, I think I'd be pretty happy. Still probably would have preferred Teoscar Hernandez because of his versatility, because of his consistency, and because of his experience and successful experience at Fenway Park, but Jorge Soler really does solve a big need for the Boston Red Sox that's sort of been going under the radar in terms of legitimate priorities for the Red Sox this offseason. I think he could be a really solid addition to this team, but that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think of Jorge Soler? Do you like him? Do you not like him? What do you think about the phrase frontrunner being used with the Red Sox pursuit for the first time this offseason? Do you think it has any merit at all? And let me know what you think Jorge Soler will end up getting in free agency, whether it's with the Red Sox or not. Let me know all your thoughts on the Red Sox interests and latest news surrounding this Red Sox team in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.